Hi there, I'm Phil Cummins, Associate Professor of Education and Enterprise and the Managing Partner of A School for Tomorrow and Circle, the Centre for Innovation, Research, Creativity and Leadership in Education. I now work with colleagues all over the world to help them to think about what comprises an excellent 21st century education. And also more broadly, we're all thinking about what comes next in education. You know, there are some who desperately want to jump ahead to the next new thing, some who are equally desperate for all of this newfangled stuff just to go away, and the majority in the middle. It's this middle group whom I'm finding really intriguing currently. What I'm seeing from them is a significant disposition towards moving forwards rather than going back. So as we've been in conversations in recent months with hundreds of schools and thousands of teachers through our network and through the Game Changers podcast, what's been really interesting about our profession's response to the Covid-19 situation is that all over the world, we've been compelled by the circumstances of remote learning and lockdown to go back to all of these first principles to do things differently. And we've done really quite well. Probably better than we thought we might, and challenges notwithstanding, we've made a lot of progress without all of the difficulty that we might have anticipated. These changes are less about technology and much more about how we respond to the need to describe this new social contract of purpose, people, place, and practice. A profession which previously had been notable for its resistance to making a big step forward has just taken one really quite successfully. Out of all of what we're doing, there just seems to be a lot more teachers who are feeling that going back to what they were doing before all this happened would be a mistake. They're feeling that we should be moving forward instead of applying the lessons of what they're learning right now, and I think they're right to want to do so. It's our job as educational leaders under the circumstances to create the systems and provide them with the encouragement to keep going. Let's go.
We are Westlake Boys High School.
My name is Sandra Boyce. I'm the head of the lower school in Crescent School in Toronto, and I also have the distinct pleasure of being the executive director of the CCBE, which is the Crescent Centre for Boys Education.
And greetings from the other side of Toronto. I'm Trish Sislak. I'm head of libraries at Crescent, and I'm the director of research with the CCBE.
And my name is Alex Wallace, and I'm deputy head of the Royal Grammar School.
My name is Andrew Zare, and I am a head of year at the RGS.
I'm Margot Long from St John's College in Johannesburg, South Africa.
My name's Gemma, and I am a teacher of French and German here at the Knox School.
My name's Isaac Rule, and I teach Year 3 at the Knox School in Melbourne.
And my name's Nikki McCarthy, and I work at the Scots College in Bellevue Hills, Sydney, Australia.
My name's Delaney Lewis, and I'm the head of Forsyth House at Berwick Grammar School in Victoria.
I think one of the positives to come out of this pandemic is the opportunity to work with people I haven't normally worked with in different spaces, and just to really reflect upon our practice and to learn new technologies. We have a really young staff here at Scots, and it's been fantastic. Their support of older staff like myself who have been teaching for 25 years and helping us and supporting us with technology-based learning. The boys have also been amazing. Obviously their skill is there, and they're constantly showing us new ways to use technology, particularly Zoom, for best practice in our teaching. Moving forward, I think this has taught us a lot about how we run as a school. It's created a lot of detail around the way we do things and the structures that we have. The whole community has come together. Parents, staff and students have all come together in this time, and we've created a real bond amongst us in terms of focusing and looking back down and always focusing on what's best practice for the boys. So I really think moving forward, the changes we've implemented to support us during this difficult time, during this pandemic, I can see us moving forward with those changes, such as parent-teacher interviews, a lot of our community events, allowing an online aspect to that for our parents that may be still overseas, our parents that are in remote areas. So they would be the benefits that I can see moving forward. And it's just wonderful to be back in the classroom and back face-to-face teaching with the boys. Thank you for your time, and best of luck and best wishes for all of those that are still facing some challenges during this time.
Working in an online environment has definitely changed the way I teach and will teach going forward. There are plenty of things that I will take from TKS Home Campus, but the first thing would be taking on student feedback from what they enjoyed learning online and making sure that I incorporate that into my own teaching practice going forward. I would also like to include much more project-based work into my teaching, giving students time to work over a couple of weeks on a project that they then produce at the end, demonstrating a range of different skills, including online remote learning skills. And lastly, I want to make sure that I keep up the student engagement with my tutor group, with many more student-led sessions in tutor group and in wellbeing sessions.
When the students came back from their remote learning experience, we have seen that they have gained so many new skills. They are able to follow written instructions, they are able to manage their own time and meet deadlines. So we want to harness those skills and include a lot more project-based and independent learning in the classroom. Another thing we've discovered is a whole lot of new ways to give feedback to students in the classroom in ways that are time efficient for us and also really engaging for the students.
Regular email communication with our community is important. Even although we have no certainty in planning further than the week ahead, they still need to know what we're thinking about and what possible scenarios look like. Trimming our curriculum was essential as we realized that online learning takes so much longer, particularly with the little boys. Finding the balance between synchronous and asynchronous teaching took us a while to work out as well, and we've now settled on a blended model for that.
Fear of failure, fear of not making the grade, fear of what lay ahead, I think precipitated most of us into the cyber world. So upskilling, and certainly technologically, was one of the great successes, motivated by fear as an architect. And therein lies another success, that in coping with our fear, we leaned on community. I think our success has been that we are prepared to not know, which is not in a teacher's vocabulary. We tend to teach. Now we're facilitating learning, and that has been a great success. So the way forward. We cannot stop listening. We have to be open and attentive to other stories.
Obviously, we don't have as many co-curricular opportunities, that's for sure. So we need to really make these lessons count. We need to be doing everything that we can to make our pupils feel special, to make them feel safe and supported. So as a head of year, I've set myself the steep challenge to speak with every student in my year this half of term. Sadly, for some of them, I'm speaking with them far more frequently than they probably wish. One thing's for sure, and that's straight A students still have emotional needs. Everybody needs contact. The most powerful and impactful moments of my day are speaking to those kids who have no other cause for contact, really. Other than for human connection. So we need to be checking with them regularly, just as we would in school. We need to make it personal. We need to care even more than we would in normal times, because they need our unwavering trust and our support now more than ever. They need to know that they're in safe hands. Just like we earn their trust in school by being interested and involved, we need to do the same now.
So there's going to be a lot of things that we will keep from this situation. And at the moment, the senior team are spending a bit of time looking at what we used to do and thinking to ourselves, what needs to stay? Actually, what can we cut out to make a brilliant working environment for our staff and a brilliant learning environment for our students?
And yeah, we all went into teaching to make a difference. And actually, I feel that this time at the moment allows us to set an intention to really, be there for our students.
Well, I got a lot of engagement from my kids. They were far more likely to message me individually through Microsoft Teams. They kind of had instant access to me, and they could ask things really quickly. So it was more informal, like a chat, rather than having to go to an email and, dear Miss Lewis, that sort of thing. Instead, they'd go, oh, hi, can I just ask quickly this? And I'd get back to them relatively quickly because I had Teams on my phone and my iPad, so I could check in with them. Also, we had obviously all of our staff meetings via Teams, which were really quite productive, and certainly that's one thing that I hope we have going forward. There's no need for us to physically meet. If you've got good rapport with your team, then for a lot of reasons, I think it's much better to meet virtually rather than physically, unless you actually need to do something together, like a first aid course or something. I also really enjoyed the opportunity to talk with students through Microsoft Teams. It was really cool being able to just call them and chat through things. And so I think that's something else that I'd really like to have access to as in the future. I think that'd be a really good thing. And I certainly hope that that's one thing that we can take forward.
for and specifically for a hybrid model. We could be in school, we could be on campus, we could be off campus, may have to pivot between the two. And we may have staff members and community members and students who, for one reason or another, even if an on-campus environment is possible, will not be able to do that. So it's important that we have concurrently an academic model, a virtual model, the relationship flexibility and connection time of an in-person model, and then the ability to pivot between those two depending on what happens. So right now, the summer, our work together, our professional development is emphasizing wellness, safety, well-being, and then at the same time, imagining a concurrent a plan schedule where regardless of what happens, we are ready to face those challenges.
I'm in the first cohort of the training of doing this hybrid learning environment, and it's very powerful. And, you know, we're reminded in many ways that we're already doing a lot of things really well. And it's really exciting to see that come to be. And the fact that our executive and our admin wanted us to have these opportunities so that we can come back to school stronger and better than ever, just goes to show that we're in a really great place. And I'm really excited to be part of the team.
What some of the things that I found really helpful or useful and what I've received positive feedback on from my students would be daily check-ins. So every morning I would post a hello, a kind of an encouragement to students, you know, to keep focused, to get work done. And when I was using Teams on Microsoft, you can do like daily posts and you can get students to put a thumbs up. And that was really, really useful because I could then find out, you know, each day how many students were checking in with their work and how many, you know, were really engaging in the whole process. In the future, you know, if we were to go to lockdown again, or if we had to do online learning again, I would continue with daily check-ins. I think they're really, really important. I would also provide small manageable tasks daily. And I think that's really key, you know, to have that daily, to kind of make them small and manageable. You know, in terms of what I've learned, it's really about relationships, you know, with online learning. It's actually about checking in, making sure they're okay. And by having small manageable tasks daily, you can check in on them much more regularly and maybe help with that idea of motivation. If it's only a small task, they're more likely to do it. If they feel that they can do it.
It happened really quickly, and we went into lockdown. And it was like, right, that's it. Gather up your resources, set yourself up a desk at home, and let's go for it. I think from a boys' education perspective, I think having a synchronous timetable really did stand them in good stead. It meant that they had structure to their day. It meant that they had routine to their day. It gave them a semblance of normality to what essentially was a crisis. The boys are so funny online, and I often find it was the quieter students that really came out of themselves. And that was, it was almost like it provided them with this opportunity to thrive and to shine online. And coming back now, it'd be really interesting to see if the relationships that have strengthened throughout lockdown, especially with those quieter boys, would that have been the case had we not gone into lockdown, had we just been here all the time and those boys continue to just be quiet learners? I know that the boys are probably fed up of, you know, sitting behind a computer screen now, but the ability to facilitate your work and share your resources through Teams as opposed to always giving a paper copy, you know, from a practical sense. Plus it means that work's there for students who are not in class on a given day. So therefore the work is there, you know, Wednesday's work's there, Thursday's work's there. So if they've missed Wednesday, Thursday, they can go and see what was missed, as opposed to you trying to rack your brain and verbally doing it when you're trying to start the class. So from an organisation and a practical sense, that's something that, you know, I've got into the habit of just continuing with. We often see them in classroom and see them, you know, in one context. Yeah. We often don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And the things that I learned throughout lockdown, the things that the boys shared with me, good and bad, you know, really made me reflect on keeping that at the forefront of my mind as a teacher when continuing to build those relationships with the boys.
There's been a really human element to online learning, even though we didn't see them for, you know, the boys for close to 2 months. So it's great that we've been able to carry that on. And that reflection piece is going to become more and more important as we move forward. So yeah, to everyone out there, just in Phil's network, listening to this, we hope that you found that useful from a New Zealand perspective, and we really look forward to, you know, some of the global thinking around how this has gone in other countries, and hopefully pretty soon we may be able to meet up, but just for now it's going to be remotely, and that's okay.